Hey, 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 happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Monday, April 11th, 2022. This is live stream number 775. If this is your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then we take a look at a game. So we look at a board game, role-playing game release, what have you. And tonight, I'm kicking off GMT Wargame Week. That's right, we are going to take a look at the monster itself, the new edition of Mark Herman's Pacific War. I don't even know if I'm cleared to lift this much weight anymore. So it's like, holy cow. This is a big puppy here. So we're going to be diving into that tonight. Do want to mention, if you are tuning in because you want to see the unboxing of Pacific War, if you are watching live, we do tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So it'll be about 30 minutes or so. So just kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. If you are joining after the fact, after the stream ends, at least 30 minutes or more after it ends, there will be timestamps. You can check out the timestamps in the show notes, or depending on the device that you're utilizing, it might actually be right on the timeline of the video itself. So you can check that out if you want to just skip ahead right to the unboxing and miss out on some pretty cool tabletop gaming news. So if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos to the channel, such as other first looks and reviews. So by all means, be sure to ding that bell. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Plus, you can check out the various different contributors to the Gaming Gang and their reviews. They just happen to be written reviews, not video reviews like I do. Of course, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Plus, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I try to keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, feel free, fire away. I will do my best to respond. So far, Doug Roberts was first out the gate in chat tonight. Clint Gibson's with us. James Eck. John Vogel is all pumped for Wargame Week here on the Dispatch. And Disfile92 is in chat with us as well. Nice. So we are off and running. So let's dive on into the news because we are going to be taking some time with Pacific War. I'll tell you that. I know there's like 2,000 counters So that is a lot of counter sheets we're going to be taking a peek at alone. So we got all the maps, and I'll kind of regale you with some tales of victory games of yesteryear. I know, I'm old. What can I tell you? All right, so let's move on to the tabletop gaming news because there is a new tactical game that is set in the wonderful world of Disney that's on the horizon. Here's a skinny on Disney's Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances. Become the next master summoner in the battle arena game Disney Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances, an expandable tabletop game inspired by the popular mobile game Disney Sorcerer's Arena. Recruit from a battle-ready roster of Disney and Pixar heroes and villains. Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, Gaston, Aladdin, Demona, Sully, Dr. Facilier. I don't have any idea who they are. I mean, not. I know who the other characters are. I'm not sure who Dr. Facilier is or Facilier. Maleficent and Ariel. Then combine the cards for your characters into a single deck. You take turns playing standard actions and cards from your hand to move your characters and attack opponents. If you knock out rival characters or occupy certain spaces near the center of the arena until your next turn, you score points. When a player reaches 20 points or runs out of cards in their deck, the game ends at the conclusion of that round. Whoever has the most points wins. The rules for Disney Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliance's core set are spread out across 4 chapters, with each chapter building on what's come before to introduce players to new skills, upgrades, and abilities over multiple games. Multiple expansions will be released for the game line to allow for more team combinations. Disney Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances is from the APE Games. It is for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up. Plays around 35 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it arrives on June 23rd. So if you are a Disney fan and you would like to take the Disney characters and battle them against each other, this is something you might want to take a peek at. I believe that there's going to be an expansion that comes out right when this releases. And I thought I saw it has 3 characters. So it has 3 additional characters. And of course, there are little decks of cards that you put together to create a bigger deck. I know absolutely nothing about the Disney Sorcerer's Arena mobile game. Zip, zero, zilch. I really don't play many mobile games. In fact, I gotta be honest, I don't play any. I play PC games, but I don't know. I just have never run across, even on my tablets, never run across a game that really grabbed my interest to keep coming back for, because they just don't have the same kind of depth as PC games. But I'm not talking about the mobile game. We're talking about Disney Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances, the tabletop game. Moving right along, arriving next week from APE Games is One Card Wonder. And here's what I know about the game. In One Card Wonder, each player receives a card that shows a wonder of the ancient world and a set of support buildings. The multiple stages of the wonder must be built from the ground up, while the buildings may be built in any order. Players have 4 worker meeples and a personal supply of resources, and a general supply of resources also exists. The resource supply bag moves from player to player to indicate who is the active player. On a turn, you take one of 4 actions. You may draw 3 cubes from the cloth supply bag, then add 2 to your personal supply, placing the other leftover one in the general supply. You may take all resources of one type from the general supply. You may hold only 8 resources at a time in your supply. So if after drawing or taking, you have more than 8, you must return some to the general supply. You may build a level of the wonder or a building by paying its resource costs from your supply. Your workers mark individual buildings as you build them, unlocking abilities. Finally, you may sell pairs of matching goods to the supply in exchange for coins. Coins can be used as a wild resource, but they also appear in the cost of some wonders. Resources sold or used to build are returned to the supply bag. In games of 4 or more players, players may also trade. Trading occurs off turn. That is, it can involve anyone except the active player. You may negotiate and trade freely with other players, but you must stop negotiating once you receive the supply bag and become the active player. The longer you spend on your turn, the more opportunity your opponents have to make deals. So I guess it's like, hurry up! Hurry up! So these guys don't get to make any deals. First player to complete their wonder, obviously enough, will win. One card wonder is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $30 when it arrives on April 19th. I have to say, you might recall when I was at Gen Con last year, I was trying to arrange a meeting with APE Games to take a look at this because I thought this sounded fairly interesting. I like games that are set in the ancient world and you're building your wonder. And I thought, hey, this sounds kind of cool. So now it's finally coming out. So it is arriving next week. So let's see, who have I missed popping into chat? We got Helga Ratbone, Viper Dave has arrived. Flaming Heron's with us. Flaming Heron happens to be one of our chat moderators, so he bears the banhammer. 245 Trioxin is also in chat, so we are off and running with chat tonight. Very nice. How about some role-playing game news? Because Beowulf, The Trials of the Twin Seas for 5th edition is now up on Kickstarter for Handiwork Games. Here's the latest on the project. The Trials of the Twin Seas is a book of 6 adventures for Beowulf Age of Heroes, the duet play setting for 5e. The Trials of the Twin Seas will be fully illustrated, full color, and at least a 224-page hardback. The adventures are already written, illustrated, and laid out, and are actually available in PDF. With your help, we want to bring them out as a lovely print book with some additional material. When we successfully funded Beowulf, Age of Heroes for 5th edition, we unlocked a series of PDF scenarios free to backers. Written by our team and a selection of hand-picked guests, they form both an essential selection of adventures for the Beowulf setting and a guide to the setting and system in action. They've never been printed, but they have all been available to buy in PDF over on DriveThruRPG. With your help, we'll like to collect these scenarios into a beautiful hardcover book. There is a video for this Kickstarter, and I should point out, it is a little longer. It is a little more than 3 minutes. So put your feet up, relax, and give this a peek.
The Trials of the Twin Seas for Beowulf, Age of Heroes, 5th edition.
What? A mighty horde of 6 5th edition adventures for 1 GM and 1 player in a full-color, hard-bound book. Set sail for adventure with Horror at Harrogate by Marco Raffaella. Word reaches our hero that the remote fishing settlement of Harrogate is plagued by a horrific night walker. But is all quite as it seems? The Witches and the Worm by John Hodgson. The snake will not die, and time does not turn properly. 3 witches on a heath seek their hero's help. The Elf Shot by Jacob Rogers. Guy Sala's hall stands empty, her warriors' gear still in their racks. All the people are gone. but still it feels like something is watching you. 7 Stones by Elaine Lithgow. 7 Stones takes us to Orkness, an isolated settlement on a rocky peninsula blasted by frigid winds. Here people have lived in fear of the Stoorworm for generations. Year of Stone by K.C. Shee. Our hero arrives at the Isle of Raoden, where bonds of family and tradition are in grave peril, and danger lurks just beneath the surface. The Triple Serpent by Gareth Ryder Hanrahan. The community of Loch Derg is plagued by a dreadful monster from a fading age of heroes. But who or what has brought it forth? And how can it be stopped? The adventures have a level range from level 1 to level 6. All the adventures are completely written, wonderfully illustrated, and lovingly laid out by some of the most talented creators working in the field. There are also a veritable horde of amazing accessories and add-ons to enjoy. Nominated for an Emmy Award in 2021, Beowulf, Age of Heroes is a setting of epic Dark Age myth designed for duet play in 5th edition. With 1 player and 1 game master, set sail on the Whale Road in search of adventure.
The Kickstarter project is over 200% funded. You can reserve a copy of Beowulf, The Trials of the Twin Seas for 5e for a $47 pledge through April 26th. Expected delivery on the hardcover is this November. Yes. So you may have noticed the artwork. A lot of the artwork is John Hodgson, who you may recall from, he did a lot of Cubicle 7 artwork back in the day. He did a lot for the first edition of the One Ring, as an example. Did a lot of artwork for, I want to say, if I remember correctly, he did a good amount of artwork for the Lone Wolf role-playing game as well. He did a lot of stuff. So this is John's company. So Handiwork Games is his company that he founded. And I have to point out, I forgot to bring it down into the Duct Tape Studios with me, but John was kind enough to recently send me a copy of the core book. So we're going to get to take a peek at that in the very near future. So we're going to take a look at Beowulf, Age of Heroes. And Flaming Heron had pointed out that it's very nice to see this because it's so rare to have a one-on-one offering. And that is true. There are not many role-playing games that are designed for a single game master and a single player. There are quite a lot that are, oh, well, everybody takes turns being the game master or everybody's the game master. But not a whole lot that include just one-on-one. Right off the top of my head, Cthulhu Confidential from Pelgrane Press, that is specifically designed for one-on-one. So, and I could see that. I could see any Lovecraftian role-playing game being effective just with one player, one GM, because Lovecraft stories only usually have a single protagonist. So let's see, who do we have swinging into chat? Mr. Eddie T is with us. So that means Sarah D is not far behind. So howdy to both of them. Andres de Barbara is with us. And there you go. Sarah's just peeked out the wave. Coco B has joined us as well. Who did I miss anybody? If I have missed anybody, saying hello to you in chat, chime in. I apologize. You know me. I always try to say hello to anybody who takes time out to pop into chat. So Coco B says, hey, I'll be Beowulf, and you all could be his buddies who get eaten, mangled, or whatever. Yes, I think that would be about right. So moving right along. Last week, I talked about one of the money-saving bundles available for the Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. Here's the deets on the other bundle of holding, and it is Conan Careers. Look sharp, adventurer! This is all new, and it is the Conan Careers bundle. It is the second of two offers in progress, featuring Robert E. Howard's Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of, the 2D20-based tabletop sword and sorcery role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. If you're new to the game, start with the revived July 2019 Conan Essentials, which is in progress. Then, of course, return for this bundle, which has recent source books, including The Exiles, Waves Stained Crimson, and many supplements describing the lands of the Iborian Age, the time of the unsurpassable barbarian Conan of Cimmeria. Now, I have heard it pronounced a couple of different, well, I've heard it more than two. I've heard Cimmerian and I've heard Cimmerian. I always thought it was Cimmerian. Even though it's a C, you pronounce it like an S. But I could be wrong. I gotta be honest. I mean, I've read all of the original Robert E. Howard stories, unedited, unretouched, way back in the day. But I like I said, I always thought it's Cimmeria. Regardless how you pronounce it, for just $9.95, you'll get all three role-playing source books and supplements in this all-new offers starter collection, which has a retail value of $45, as DRM-free PDFs, including Conan the Adventurer, Conan the Wanderer, and the beautiful art collection, The Art of Conan. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $26.50, you'll level up and also get this offer's entire bonus collection with 5 more supplements worth an additional $75, including the Exile source book. It's based on the online multiplayer survival game Conan Exiles, the Wave-Stained Crimson 5-scenario pirate campaign, Conan the King, Conan the Scout, and a guide to a legendary pre-cataclysmatic forerunner of Conan, Cull of Atlantis. I've actually read all the Cull stories, too, way back in the day. These savings do run through April 25th, and 10% of each payment after gateway fees will be donated to the not-for-profit initiative co-founded by Modiphius Entertainment owner Chris Birch. And I am talking about Roll versus Evil. Yes. I likes me my Conan. I have said this time and time again. If you are a fan of Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian, look no further than the role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. Of course, I always joke about Modiphius likes to have these titles for role-playing games that are just really long and just do not roll off the tongue. Of course, I am talking about Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. So nice, very nice. I am a little surprised that there is the Cull source book, because there are actually other Conan source books, like Conan the Thief is another one that could have been included. I was kind of surprised they tossed Cull in. It's okay. I'm just thought it was a little odd. You'd think if, well, it was like, oh, well, we don't have any other, kind of like the What Conan's career was is what these source books kind of focus on, right? When he's King Conan, you've got that source book. When he's more the Wanderer, is that source book. The Mercenary, that's another one that is not included with this. Like I said, I'm a little surprised that the focus is not strictly on the Conan career kind of source books. All right. But I got to say, it's still a fantastic deal. Don't miss out. My final news piece arriving this May is the 4th volume in the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Enemy Within Director's Cut, which of course is from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Here's the latest on The Horned Rat. My friends in change, we have sown glorious chaos, but to bring the time of changes, we must act as one under a champion in shadows. The Horned Rat is the 4th volume of the revised and updated director's cut of The Enemy Within, one of the most highly regarded role-playing campaigns ever written. Building on the dramatic events at the end of Power Behind the Throne, recruiting your brave heroes into the service of the city of Middenheim for more drama and intrigue. In the penultimate volume of the 5-part series of grim and perilous Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay adventures, the tables are turned as enemies that have pursued the characters since the beginning of the epic campaign are now forced to defend themselves. The time is right to uncover their schemes and break apart their organization. The characters cannot afford to relax their guard and celebrate their victories as a new threat emerges from beneath their feet. The Horned Rat includes a 4th part of the Enemy Within campaign, conceived by legendary Whiff-Rip writer Graham Davis, with contributions by a team of talented Whiff-Rip writers. There's a toolkit to exploring Middenheim's complex undercity, a vast environment filled with hazards and intrigues. A series of investigations dealing with the implications of the action in Power Behind the Throne and leading to the realization of a new threat far greater than anything the characters have faced in their previous adventures. There's descriptions of an ongoing and deepening crisis in the Empire to be resolved in the final installment of the Enemy Within campaign. The Enemy Within is the campaign all role players should play at least once in their lives, making the Horned Rat an essential purchase for gamers. The 160-page Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay The Horned Rat hardcover will arrive carrying an MSRP of $39.99 when it hits stores on May 9th. Of course, you can grab the PDF right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. So it has been out for a while in PDF. We are finally getting the physical copies, which means I will have an opportunity to share it with you. So I've been holding off on my review because I just want to review the physical copies, right? Excuse me, that is it for the news tonight. All righty. As I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG, don't forget the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you feel thegaminggang.com is a valuable resource, if you like what we do, by all means, you can always buy me a cup of coffee or some soda by visiting paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And big thank you to those out there who constantly use our banner ads to purchase PDFs over at the One Bookshelf sites, and those of you who stop by paypal.me every once in a while and make a small donation. Much appreciated. Thank you very kindly. All right. Omenal is with us in chat. Omenal happens to be one of our PDF role-playing game reviewers, by the way. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, what? The physical copies are finally coming for the Horned Rat? Yes, they are finally on the horizon. And Omanel points out that Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of is top notch. And of course, the two bundles at Bundle of Holding are excellent deals. And you can load up. You really can. All right, so that is it for the news. Not much cooking. Did a little gaming this weekend. Watched a lot of baseball this weekend because I am a huge baseball fan. So, and both Chicago teams had nice opening series. Both won 2 out of 3 games. So that was pretty sweet. Both of them should have actually won all 3. Bad pitching. Bullpens blowing games. Don't like to see that. No. Anyway, I know folks out there are tuning in because I want to see the unboxing and first look at Pacific War from GMT Games. And we're going to dive on into that after a short intermission.
Welcome to your favorite drive-in theater and a sparkling new season. Watch our screen and local newspapers for all the fine shows coming this way. Show after show will feature the latest hits, the biggest stars for fun-filled, pleasure-packed evenings. Relax, come as you are, and spend an enjoyable night out with the entire family. No parking problems, no babysitting problems. And there are always tasty snacks at our modern refreshment stand.
Thanks, folks. And once again, welcome back.
Here's magic, popcorn magic. Only hot, fresh, perfectly seasoned popcorn can satisfy that movie time popcorn craving. So if you like popcorn, you'll really like ours. We start with the best and make it better. Get plenty for everybody now.
To add to your enjoyment of the movies, we offer cold, refreshing, full-flavored drinks, choice popcorn, freshly popped, crisp and tasty, and richly coated, taste-filled candy bars that are sure to please you. Yes, there are many good things here for your pleasure.
Ta-da! I had to chuckle with the two women who are both having their soda or whatever drink. I just keep thinking to myself, it's like, oh, Margaret, I'm so glad we brought gin to the theater. All right, so on to our unboxing, because today I'm going to take a first look and unbox Pacific War 2nd Edition from GMT Games. It is designed by Mark Herman with art and graphic design provided by Charlie Kibler, Oliver Revenue, Justin Martinez, and Mark Simonich. The game is for 2 players, ages 16 and up, plays in 2 hours or more, and I mean a lot more. Does carry an MSRP of $125. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here we've got Pacific War. So I have to mention, I remember when this first came out from Victory Games. And if I remember correctly, now, of course, I have to access the old memory banks on this one. I thought Victory Games was some folks who had like fled Avalon Hill and established Victory Games. And I got to be honest, the Victory Games titles were excellent, at least the ones that I got to check out. We played a lot of Ambush, which was a solitaire World War II tactical combat. So that was really good. We're going to take a look at Vietnam 1975. I should say 1965 to 75 later on. That'll be Wednesday's show. But I was like, wow, this is so cool that we're seeing two classic Victory games get second editions. At least I know this is a second edition, not just a reprint from GMT Games. So I'm going to get the shrink wrap off here. And this is a mighty hefty box. Let's take a look at the back here. So I knew we were going to see this. Complexity level 9. So John Vogel says no. Victory Games started after SPI closed and Avalon Hill started Victory Games. Oh my gosh, you're right. Victory Games was an offshoot of Avalon Hill. Damn, I thought they were a competitor of Avalon Hill. Russell Higgins is with us in chat. Good to see you, Russell. So yes, a 9 for complexity and very low solitaire suitability. Pacific War is a strategic war game that takes you from the attack on Pearl Harbor to climactic summer of 1945. From Australia to China, from Burma to Hawaii, from the defense of Wake Island through the invasion of Guadalcanal, culminating in the desperate battles to defend the Japanese home islands. For the first time in a Pacific Theater game, size, subtlety, and ease of play has come together in a game of sharp action and historical accuracy. Pacific War is a source of limitless challenge and excitement for anyone ever fascinated with the fury and vastness of the war in the Pacific. The game includes over 2,000 counters that represent individual capital ships, cruiser divisions, destroyer squadrons, aircraft groups, and land units ranging from battalions to divisions to corps, with all units individually rated based on their historic performance. At its core, Pacific War's game systems allow you to fight detailed carrier strikes, sequential and simultaneous, with night surface naval actions, float planes, gunfire, and torpedo salvos, integrated with large-scale ground offenses on the Asian mainland, Malaya, Burma, and China, and of course, amphibious invasions, Java, Guadalcanal, and Leyte. If you are looking for a detailed and interactive operational simulation of the war in the Pacific, this is the game for you. Omenal says the deluxe version must be life-size. So Russell Higgins points out, yes, it is 3 to 100 hours. If you want to play the entire Pacific Theater from 41 to 45, it is going to take you a long time. You better have an area that you can set up that board and leave it without any disturbances by family, friends, or pets. So we've got a core rules manual. I'm kind of curious. I gotta say, I never played Pacific War, but I am kind of curious what kind of changes have been made in the design more towards a modern audience. Anyway, so Flaming Heron's got to rock out. Thank you for hanging out with us, Flaming Heron. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow. So we've got a core rules manual, very thick. Then we have engagement scenarios and rules for the various different scenarios as well. So we're going to first take a look at the core rules here. We'll jump on in. Just give you an idea of some of the things that are tackled here. So, first of all, it's pointing out there are 34 scenarios in Pacific War, and they are all in the scenario booklet. And each takes anywhere from 20 minutes to many hours to play to completion. Anyway, what I was going to say is I'm kind of curious if this is presented where the scenarios are kind of a learning experience to try to make life easier on the players. Now, of course, back in the day when this came out, I think this came out 85. I'm almost positive I was in high school when this came out. Just like Vietnam, 1965 to 1975. That was also like 84, 85 that came out. So it was like my senior year. So presentation, pretty standard. We're used to seeing for war game releases. So we're looking at our point case, I believe it's called. So merchant shipping attrition, command, how commands link, transport, reinforcements, replacements, engineering. There is a lot in the mechanics of this game. Just kind of zipping on through here. Talking about search. Search, I would think, would be very, very important. Because that's one thing I'm always curious about with games that are, well, I guess they don't have to necessarily be naval based, but games that would take war games that take place, including naval units with huge oceans and that, the search mechanics are very important. Because you want to have a realistic system. So it looks like we're into combat here. So we get naval combat. So we have the determination phase and 3 phases. Demolition, ground combat. This is a monster game, folks. We get some optional rules, different Japanese subs, night attacks, 4-engine bomber toughness for the U.S., armor advantage, and then we get an index. We wrap up. Well, it's just the index. I thought maybe we'd have some sort of maybe a player aid or something. All right, so it's the Engagement Scenarios Rules Manual. So it says, this rules manual is a standalone, complete set of rules for battle scenarios. So scenarios 1 to 12. If you already know how to play the Pacific War Victory Games Edition, 1985, all right, then you should have no problem starting with these scenarios. If you have not played in a long time, or you're new to Pacific War, then I would advise that you start with the Engagement Scenario Rules Manual. This is from Mark Herman. So talking about the scenario types. So it looks like some of this is repeated from the core rules, but this is to get you started. So I would assume that these scenarios are smaller operations. Yeah, this tackles everything from the Pacific Theater, from subs and surface vessels, aircraft, ground units. Man. Jeez. Okay, so then we get an index here. I think that's, yep, all indexed to finish that out. So just that was 32 pages of rules. The core rule manual is about double that. Close. It is 61 pages of rules. And now we get into the battle scenario rules manual. We're just scratching the surface of what's in this box. So now we get into larger scale, I think. Oh no, this is the, so wait, so this is the standalone rule set for battle scenarios. I thought that's what, oh, these are for engagement scenarios. There we go. Okay. So we got a dozen battle scenarios. And it's just kind of providing these rules again. Although, this looks a little different with the map information and that. Maybe I just passed through that pretty quickly. Well, with the different rule books, you could certainly loan one to a friend who's going to learn how to play. Yep, so we had search again, air mission subs. Naval combat. So I can see for the various different cases from the core rulebook, if it's not something that's used in battle scenarios, it just says not used in battle scenarios. So 35 pages of rules there. Now we get into the scenario booklet. So now we're going to see. Oh, wow. I saw what our next little booklet is. And I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. Where do we see that? Okay, so. So discussion with Mark Herman about how to learn how to play Pacific War. So the engagement scenario. So we have Pearl Harbor, Savo Island, Wake Island, invasion of Burma, Force Z from Singapore, Battle of Java Sea, relief of Wake Island, Midway. So these are battle scenarios now. Battle of the Eastern Solomons, Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands, Naval Battle of Guadalcanal. So it looks like we've got a dozen of each. We even have the Aleutians. That's pretty wild. Then we get into our campaign scenarios. So Malaya, Philippines, Southern Conquests, Guadalcanal, Battle for the Upper Solomons, breaking the Bismarck Barrier, War in the Central Pacific. I'm assuming our final campaign scenario is going to be the whole shebang. So number 8 is War in the Western Pacific. China and Burma. So, of course, you can see that these scenarios have all of our setup information for the Japanese and for the Allies. Any special rules that we need? It's right here. Our command point schedule. So, War in the Western Pacific, postulated playing time is 40 hours. So then we get strategic scenarios. So we get the Pacific War, postulated playing time, 200 hours or so. If time is an issue, don't do it. That's funny. It's right in there. If time is an issue, don't do it. See what else we got. The Rising Sun in the Pacific, 45 hours. The Barrier and the Javelin, 80 hours. So then we have another strategic scenario, the Barrier and the Javelin. All right. Wow, there is just so much to this. So that is the scenario booklet. So it is loaded down. We've got 8 engagement scenarios. We have 12 battle scenarios. We have 9 campaign scenarios and 5 strategic scenarios. Then we have, all right, let's see how easy it is to get that out. There we go. An extended example of play as a separate booklet. Usually it's in like the scenario book or designer notes. So this is the Battle of the Coral Sea. And it's going to give us a breakdown turn by turn what each of the sides were doing. So it's like these are breakdowns of battles. Then we had, so here's naval combat. So this is what, air combat? Yeah, it looks like that was air combat. Looks like it was an attack, and then they ran across Cap. So here's naval combat. Then we got an amphibious assault. We get a bibliography. And we get our designer notes. It says, of course, this is from Mark Herman. The original Victory Games edition of Pacific War had my design notes spread throughout the rules, which I have preserved. However, over the years, there were other things, no, there's no many, that I wanted to say. So for this definitive GMT Games edition of the game, I thought I would continue the conversation. I will also note that for reasons that are not clear to me, I still have all of my original research notes, all 5 binders of them, that allowed me to refresh and revalidate my original effort. Nice. So about 3 pages of designer notes. Okay, so now we are going to start taking a look at the different boards. So we have the map boards here. You know what? We'll take a look at those last. Got a couple of 10-sided dice. And then we have a slew of counter sheets. Looks like we got some player aids. Taking a look at these in a moment. Looks like we got paper maps too. I know people live in areas with a lot of humidity. They like paper maps. I'm a big fan of mounted maps, but is that the only one? I guess so. I don't know. I don't know why that was in there. Okay, so we've got a record sheet for replacements. So we've got that as well. And I'm going to show you these counter sheets. So here looks like we've got, it looks like it's mainly aircraft. So Omenal says that they like cardboard maps. Yeah, if you have a piece of plexiglass or glass itself, just lay it on top. And normally that'll flatten it out pretty nicely. Okay, so there's the first one. Here's the second one. More aircraft. And looks like air bases, I believe. Of course, dual-sided. It's like more bombers, I think, on that counter sheet. Yes, and more aircraft. So loads of aircraft here. Then we get ground units, and I got to be honest, I'm a little surprised. And I get it. I mean, this is a far more traditional hex and counter war game than, a lot of different stuff that we see these days, you know, claiming to be war games. But with the aircraft, we have these cool little overhead images, artwork of the aircraft. And then when we go to ground units, it's just the usual NATO iconography. I always find this to be boring. This is such a boring look. The aircraft look really cool. And then it's just, and I know it's traditional. It's a traditional look. I get it. I'm not busting anybody's chops for it. But as I've said many times before, when we're taking a look at some more traditional hex and counter style war games, we want to bring, fresh blood into the hobby, and bland graphics like this do not jump out to new gamers or new war gamers. So now we'll get cool silhouettes of ships. Of course, they're just black silhouettes, but still far more interesting than just an icon representing, cruiser divisions, battleships, aircraft carriers, and so on. So these are the Japanese. So these are the Japanese ships here. And I think these are transports. I guess those are transports. I'm not sure what these chits would represent. It's like we've got the U.S. numbers as well. There we go. And we have a bunch of these. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There you go. And finally, so we have 10 counter sheets. Remember, there are over 2,000 counters in this. And the counter size is pretty traditional, about a ½ inch. Look, eyeballing it, looks like about a ½ inch on these. So these are bases and more informational counters as well. So we've got all of those. Then we've got a bunch of player aids and displays that you're going to need to utilize. So here we have an Allied Force display. The TFR Task Force counters. So you're going to use that to represent the task force and ships that are in the screen and those that make up the core. I was going to say, I'm sure this is only a single side, I should say. I'll grab a quick sip here. Then we have the Japanese Force Display 2. Another Allied display. So we have unactivated, deactivated, and activated. These might represent these might be for like ground units, possibly. Okay, and then we got, oh, look at all these displays. So not only do you have to have a lot of time if you want to take on the entire campaign, you're going to have a pretty big table to lay this stuff out on. So this is the third Allied display. And these all show unactivated and activated or deactivated for these various. Oh, look at this. Another display. Holy cow. So up to 40 task forces can be laid out. And it looks like the Japanese can have up to 20 task forces. And then here's a turn track. I would have thought that had been on the board. So an operation display. So here's a day track. Holy cow. Man, this is something else. I'll tell you right now, there is nobody I know who I can get this to the table with. Gotta be very upfront. Anybody I play war games with, their eyes are gonna glaze over. My eyes would probably glaze over going through all the rules to try to play, a long, like 40-hour plus campaign. So we have an initiative track, naval movement track, operational intelligence. I find this day track very interesting. John Vogel says, me. John will play. John's up for it. John will rent an apartment so he can hang out. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here we've got the Allied display sheets, a month track key. And this folds out. Wow. Allied command points. Then down here we have a phase track. And keep in mind, all of these have to be sitting out for you to use. Omanal says the war took 4 years. To play those 4 years, it'll take over a decade. So here's the Allied screen. So merchant shipping, attrition, ground combat results, air and naval combat results. Here's a search chart. Cool. That's what I was curious about. So, that's kind of cool. So long-range air units. It's like fighters, torpedo, bombers, and bombers, maybe? And then spotter planes. And you're going to roll your search numbers. See if you detected anything there. So now we get the Japanese display. I'm going to unfold that. And then they're going to have a screen. Starting to think maybe you'd have to go to Naval War College to get this to the table. So here's the Japanese screen. There's another search chart. This looks pretty interesting here, too. Omanal says, as a young man with time, I love these types of games. Yeah, we used to play when I was in high school. It was not unusual for us to spend an entire weekend playing something. That was something that we did quite often. And of course, we'd just stay at whoever's house it was that we were playing at. All right, so we've got the mounted boards. Very, very nicely put together here. As you can see, there's a bit of a sheen on them. There is absolutely no way I'm going to be able to get the entire board onto, well, I can share parts of it. So here we've got Japan, the Aleutians. There's Alaska down here. So that looks like this is a month tracker. Then we get out to the Marshall Islands, Gilbert Islands. Fiji. There's Hawaii down here. Got the Hawaiian Islands there. And then I'm taking a guess. This is probably the top part of that map, the board. So Omanal says it's interesting how the orientation was done. Yeah, here we go. This is the top section. So India, Siam, China, Mongolia, East China Sea, Yellow Sea. There's more Japan down here. Borneo, Sumatra, Malaya, whoops, New Guinea. We got Australia, and then we get some holding boxes and some a terrain key, as well as weather zones and the different weather. That's pretty wild. We got a monsoon season. So, of course, you would, obviously enough. So those are the two mounted maps. And I can tell you right now, those will hold up very, very nicely. Of course, humidity, yeah, we know what that does. James Heck is with us, and he asks, does GMT Games offer a 6-week basic training to learn the game? Yeah, maybe Mark Herman hires himself out. All right, so then we've got all the counter sheets. We have the paper map. There's either another, no, maybe not. Maybe this is just used for the engagement battles. Maybe that's just for convenience. They've got that. We've got the record sheet. We've got all the various screens and player aids and force displays. And then I believe it was 10 counter sheets. Doug Roberts says the map confuses him. So John points out that Mark Herman's got a number of videos about the game. I would think so. I got to be honest. I think Pacific War is kind of his masterpiece. It is his biggest like monster game that he's created. So this is everything from Pacific War, the struggle against Japan, 1941 to 1945, second edition. So this is not just a reprint of the original Victory game release. Helga says small map is probably used for most scenarios. Like I said, I think it's probably for like the engagements, the early scenarios to help you out with, or those that take up a small area. The one thing that I did notice is there aren't those other like charts, like the weather chart and holding boxes and things like that. So I don't know what that smaller map would be for. All right, so there you have it. Pacific War, once again, is designed by Mark Herman. This is the second edition, building on the classic 1985 Monster War game. When we talk Monster War games, this is one of them. When we kind of talk about Consim World Expo and people playing Monster War games, that it's like, if I remember right, I think Consim World is like 5 days long. People playing the same game, same scenario, all 5 days. This is one of those monster games out there. This is for 2 players, ages 16 and up. Plays in 2 hours to 100 hours. Does carry an MSRP of $125. Should mention, if you have any interest whatsoever in Pacific War, I definitely recommend pick it up now. GMT does not have huge print runs. This is a massive game. So you don't want to be sitting around waiting years for another print run of Pacific War. So once again, if you got any interest whatsoever, Pick it up now, because if you snooze, you lose. All right, that is it for tonight's show. Tomorrow, we are going to be looking at yet another GMT Games war game release. This one is a much smaller scale. We're going to be taking a look at Into the Woods, which is the Battle of Shiloh. So I am very interested in taking a peek at this. Give you a peek at the back of the box here. I always found Shiloh to be one of the most interesting of the American Civil War battles that Grant was in command at. And I'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow, because I'm, kind of an American Civil War buff. All righty. Also, let me reach over and grab it. Might as well let you know, on Wednesday's show, we are going to take a look at Vietnam 1965 to 1975. Once again, this is another of the victory games that came out that I'm really looking forward to taking a peek at this again. Although I have to admit, it does have the rather, uninspiring NATO iconography, but I know it's just me. It's just, I just find counters that have a little bit of visual flair kind of keep my interest more than just, a little rectangle with an X. So, all right, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Gaming Gang Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube. It'll also inform you when I upload other videos. And of course, when you aren't watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you were hanging out in chat with me, extra bonus points for you. So more experience points. I keep telling you, you're going to level up one of these days. But I am, I guess I'm one of those game masters who just doesn't give out enough experience points for you to level up every time you hang out. But of course, I know a lot of people don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. If you take time out to just watch any of the videos on this channel, it really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Of course, as I mentioned, tomorrow we will be taking a first look at Into the Woods from GMT Games. And of course, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.